What type of question is that, dude? My guy. How do I assess the season? We just lost. How do you think I assess the season? How do you think I assess it?
I don't know. That's what I was asking.
You tell me. Come on, dude. I mean, you could ask better questions than that. Let's go.
Team's been struggling. Did you find yourself regretting the situation more and more when?
Can you rephrase that question in a better way for me, please?
In a better way?
Yes.
Or did you?
Are you asking me if I was regretting what happened because my team struggled?
Well, when you're not out there, you can't help.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you on the Astros sign stealing scandal and the resulting punishment?
I wasn't going to be answering no Astros questions today.
Playing all the greatest hits. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. I am Marty Caswell. That is Darren Smith. And that looks to be Matt Vasgersian, guys. We have a lot going on. Matty V, it is so wonderful to see you again.
Nice to see you, friends. Nice to see you. When did they sign Tommy Pham back, by the way? I've been missed all this stuff because, here in World Baseball Classic land, you're just consumed with this event. So I think I've missed a couple transactions. I got to catch up.
Yeah, Carlos Quentin back in the mix as well. Marty just saves all the awkward moments from Padre history. So if there's been an awkward moment in a Padre clubhouse over the last, let's call it 20 years or so, Marty Caswell probably has it in a catalog somewhere, Matty V.
Good. I'm sure everybody appreciates that, Marty. Glad you're paying attention.
or I asked that question. I have tons. I have just hours and hours of awkward. That's what I have. That's what I do. An instigator. But Matt, it's so good to see you. So much going on. The World Baseball Classic has been just riveting. It's been amazing. I know for Fernando, Tatis, and Manny Machado who are headed back to Peoria, maybe not so much, but it's been a blast. And I just can't believe this. They break camp in 1 week. Padres, all the teams in baseball break camp in a week, and lo and behold, it is opening day.
Yeah, and for the players that are here, I mean, you hear it said every time this event pops up, the intensity and the fact that you've got to dial it up for really high stakes stuff much earlier than you would have planned on. It sneaks up on some people. I don't know that it's really a narrative anymore because this event's been around long enough, but when there's 40,000 people, when it's sold out and, you have your country across your chest and that the guys on the other side want to knock you off, especially if you're Team USA. Everybody wants to beat Team USA in this event. It's a big deal. So for somebody who thinks that they're just going to go out there and kind of get their work in by playing in the World Baseball Classic, that's not the way it goes. It's intensity from the start.
Matty, one of the guys that you know pretty well that you work with, and as we're chatting here, we're live on Monday. People might listen to this after the fact, but we're coming off USA Dominican Republic on Sunday night. And your guy Mark DeRosa was taking a little bit of heat earlier in this tournament, but give credit where it's due, right? Because the way he managed the bullpen last night, even some of the decisions to put Gunnar Henderson in there at third base, he pushed some buttons there for whatever heat it was that he took earlier in this tournament. It seems, at least for today, he gets to puff his chest out a little bit as the manager of Team USA.
Yeah, he should. And, to walk that back a little, Darren, the heat that he took, first of all, I and some of my colleagues take full responsibility for bringing him down a bad path in that interview. And unfortunately, he went with a little and it just spiraled out of control. But that was at whatever it was, 10 o'clock Eastern time on a game day. If anybody thinks that he was unaware of the circumstance after that interview, they are mistaken. By the way, he knew what was going on the whole time, and he was clarified on that as soon as the interview ended. So there was this narrative that a lot of hacky people built about how he rested key players and didn't manage it with any urgency. That's nonsense. First of all, there's no such thing as resting key players with this roster. This is an all-star team. So he was going to sit Bryce anyway. And by the way, Pete Armstrong, who was a non-regular in the eyes of some of these people, hit 2 homers in that game. So that, throw that out the door. It's really a ridiculous narrative. And he, look, in the Dominican game, he managed his bullpen perfectly. So the haters are out there. They want to get you in a gotcha moment. And we know that that's what the social media channels are all about. Everybody loved it. There were a lot of people taking cheap shots, but those same people should be tipping their cap to him for not only the vibe that he's built in the clubhouse, because everybody loves what they've got on this team, but how he ran the game yesterday.
Yeah, and by the way, I might have been one of those people, Matt. And not that I made a real run at him, but I saw the same clip, right? And forgive me for not having seen the entire exchange. But I thought
Hey,
the other
Darren,
part
hang
of
on
it
one sec. I gotta answer the door. Keep going.
Okay, Maddie's getting
I know
some
I know we're live, but I got to get this.
room service in his hotel in Miami. Kind of curious to see what shows up.
How can you tell
But-
it's room
Thank you,
service
sir.
for those curtains?
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I mean, the other
No,
part of
it's
it
good.
that I thought like added a little bit into the confusion was when DeRosa said something about how the guys celebrated after one game and that they were dragging going into that game against Italy. I think that's where you're like, oh, okay. Maybe there was a little bit of confusion about the runs because I'm confused by it.
When you're-
What'd
when
you
you're- when
get
you're-
postmated?
When you're here for a week, you gotta get more stuff. So
was that
I'm
toilet
not
paper
a-
and tissues?
yeah, I'm not a room service housekeeping guy. I don't want anybody in my room. Don't mess with my stuff. Just give me fresh towels, enough paper, and leave me alone.
Okay.
Is that enough for the day? Is that gonna get you through till
This will get me through.
finals?
This will get me through dinner.
How long have you been there?
But it's a week plus. So you go through stuff.
Okay. I lost my train of thought about Mark DeRosa.
No, back to your point though. The line that when DeRosa said guys were dragging, we were up late. Look, he is a wear it on his sleeve guy. He I guess probably shouldn't have said that. Looking back, I think he would probably admit that. He's also super honest and transparent. And when you're conducting interviews with people that you're friends with, sometimes you let your guard down a little bit.
Right.
They were not, and I know this for a fact, they were not up pounding beers all night. They were not. This team has stayed together at the end of every game in the same way, whether it's a perceived elimination game or not. They like each other. They're hanging. These are the best players in the world that have the chance to break bread together. So they hit the spread together. They eat. They hang. And should he have gone to that? Probably not. But I don't know. Again, everybody built this case that he was hacky, and let me tell you, I know the guy well. He is not hacky. He's perfect for this, and he's doing a great job.
Manny V, I'm curious to see what kind of condition Tatis and Machado will be in when they trickle into Peoria. I'm not sure of like the hangover factor after a painful one like that. And especially if you're Fernando and you're in the on-deck circle and you're thinking you might get one last at-bat against Mason Miller. I know Craig Stammen said today that he is so happy it did not come down to Mason Miller versus Tatis because he wants them to remain, good, close teammates. But how great would that have been to have that game come down to Mason Miller and Fernando Tatis Jr.?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people, and I guess as we look at the pitch now, the ball was low, was down. Tough pitch to take with the game on the line. Tough way to end the game. I understand both sides of this. But look, we need to go back only as far as 2023 to see the last time two teammates faced each other to end a World Baseball Classic. It happened to be a championship game. It was the Angels guys. It was Trout and Ohtani, and it didn't go well for Trout. Ohtani struck him out, and then the Angels said, let's not run that highlight all the time, guys. Let's just, you can run it. We're not trying to control media here, but we don't have to dwell on this. So it does create kind of an interesting dynamic for the team, for the parent team. I think looking back, there were a couple things in that game last night. The decision to run Luis Severino back out there after 3 innings. He had struck out 6 in 3 innings. He had his best velocity since 2023, and he blew it out. After the back-to-back strikeouts to strand a runner in the third, that was all he had. So I was surprised he went back out there again. They wanted to coax a little bit more life out of him. I get what they were after. And then Tatis trying to run on Judge. Like, no. That was Matumbo finger. You can't do that. Just 2 outs. Where are you going? That's not a guy with a pop gun arm out there. That's one of the greatest players in the sport. Maybe the greatest player in the sport, not named Ohtani.
Matt, do you find, one of the things I find when I'm watching this tournament, and maybe I sound like a rotten citizen of this country, but, I do find myself rooting for the Padre players. Like I was rooting for Machado and I was rooting for Tatis, nothing against Mason Miller. Now Mason Miller's the lone Padre standing who could add to that list, Marty, when we figured out that there's only been 3 Padres to have won the World Baseball Classic, like current, like in uniform Padres, Yu Darvish, Edinson Volquez, if you can believe it, and potentially Mason Miller. Do you find though, like most people get super, like, is this a tournament where there's no real like way for you. It's anecdotal, but like Like, do you find a lot of people pull for the players that are on the teams that they root for? Or do you just find that people strictly go down like according to citizenship and like, hey, like I'm a U.S. citizen, so I root for the U.S.
Yeah, I think it's more that, to be honest. I think that the major league affiliations aren't as prominent here. And I know that certainly for the Latin American teams, and we're going to see it tonight for Venezuela, there's nothing more important. They do not care about who plays for what major league team for these 2 weeks. They do not care. So happens there's a ton of Kansas City Royals on this team, not a ton, but there's a handful of them. They're well represented on Team Venezuela. They're well represented on the field today with Pasquantino on the other side. So I think it's all about national pride, and each team has such a different vibe, man. Like everybody talks about the music with the Dominican team. The music was louder in the Venezuela clubhouse by far. The dancing, the joy. I think the Venezuela team has everybody beat. Japan has everybody beat in terms of nicotine. I mean, the secondhand smoke in that clubhouse is
100%,
insane.
100%. Oh,
I mean, dude, it's really, I mean, you talk about a cultural difference, right?
Yeah.
We're all in the States ingrained with the evils of smoking and tobacco bad. They are hit rail after rail in that clubhouse, man. Unabashedly, just, it's unbelievable. So again, we're in a little bubble here in the States. We view baseball differently than the way it's viewed in the world. And I think it's cool to kind of expose yourself to all those changes.
Right. Maybe the question should have been like more specific to U.S. fans, because I understand like the Dominican pride and the Japanese pride, right? The Venezuelan pride. In the U.S., though, like, we're sort of the mindset that, like, listen, it's the World Series. You know what I mean? And like, therefore, I think it becomes a little bit fuzzier when it comes to some of the players that play for your team, because you view it as an extension of their success. Again, not for everybody. Maybe I'm just a rotten citizen of this country.
No, there's something there. I mean, I have friends in northern New Jersey who are real faithful Mets fans, and they're even conceding that they're rooting for Aaron Judge for this 2 weeks of time. So I think it's depending on who you talk to, type thing.
I will tell you this, that for me, from my own personal selfish standpoint, I had far more interest in watching the Dominican team than any other team. I was more interested in what I saw yesterday and their previous games than I will be for the finals, just because of how much fun it was to watch. Fernando Tatis Jr. in his element with Soto and Machado and Julio Rodriguez and everybody else. So we'll see what happens. All right, Matty V, again, the Padres break camp in 1 week, which and I know Craig Stammen mentioned that Joe Musgrove, no surprise, is not going to start the season. I mean, with the team, he'll likely be in IR after coming back from surgery. What is your perspective of the Padres? Like, are they a playoff team, not a playoff team? What do you think this team has?
Oh, I think they're absolutely a playoff team. I think it's unfair for any team in the National League or anywhere in baseball to litmus test themselves against the Dodgers, because it's just a brutally unfair fight at this point. But look, you get into the tournament, you don't know what's going to happen. And we know that whatever Achilles heel might be troubling the Padres at the trade deadline, that'll be addressed, because they have one of the most aggressive, active general managers and front offices in the sport. They're a playoff team for sure. I mean, I'm really looking forward to watching the whole thing come together under Craig Stammen. I thought the Mike Shildt era was odd. The end of it was even more odd. Not to say I don't like Mike Shildt, because I do. I think he's a really good manager and a good baseball guy, but there's just a weird feel around that tenure, as brief as it was. So yes, I think they're a playoff team, and in a really good division, by the way. The wild card in this division is the Giants, with a complete unknown guiding the ship. Arizona's going to be good. I think they're improved. I think the Padres are good. It's the same story. It's three teams trying to chase down the Dodgers and fight for the wild card spots.
What are your questions about the Padres?
Bottom of the lineup productivity, as it was last year. Not to single out positions, but I kind of wonder what they're going to do between catcher, first base, second base, like right side of the infield and partial up the middle. When is Ethan Salas going to arrive? We've been hearing about this guy for years and years and years, and I thought his arrival date would have come and gone by now. There's certain things that you have with this team, and you got the two stars. You got the two guys around whom the whole thing revolves. I love the moves they made last year that kind of helped solidify the outfield. But the Padres are a good team, man. They're competitive, and the fact that the organization has pushed them in such a direction to where the team sells out, the TV broadcasts are widely viewed. It's the only game in town. There's so much civic pride around the Padres because they're the only pro team left standing. I mean, that orange and blue stuff that we kind of liked at one point it's a distant memory now. This is the Padres. The mustard and brown are the Padres.
Manny Machado would want me to remind you that Major League Soccer is in San Diego, and as an MLS employee, I'm obligated as well. So there you go.
Okay.
No,
I mean,
I know what you're saying.
It's just not. I don't get it. So I'm not a soccer guy, but I do respect it as a sport. I don't consume it. So
Can I ask Matt, like how many, we were talking right before you joined us, like how many jobs do you have now? You are now going to be the voice for Netflix on March 25th, the Yankees against the San Francisco Giants. CC Sabathia, Hunter Pence in the booth with you. I know there's a lot of people that threw their hats in the rings for this job. So kudos to you, Matt Vasgersian, for getting the Netflix gig. How many jobs does this make now for Matt Vasgersian currently?
Well, I'm part. You didn't know this. You thought I was Armenian. I'm a part Jamaican as well. We do everything, right? We're doctors. We're we're restaurateurs. We're all that stuff. It's the Netflix thing is going to be a lot of fun. It's 2 events, potentially 3. I'm not sure what participation I'll have, if any, in the home run derby, but they have 3 events. They've got opening day, they've got home run derby, and they've got the Field of Dreams game is now going to Netflix as well. So between that and doing between 10 and 15 games on Peacock, which is a Sunday afternoon endeavor, those are the side gigs, and I'm still happily gainfully employed at MLB Network, and hope to be so for a long time, because it's been a good place. I never thought I'd be there this long, because when I left San Diego at the end of the 2008 season, the plan was, and I still remember locking the door to my small abode thinking, okay, there's a renter that's coming here. I'll be back in 3 years. Not sure what I'll do, but I'll be back in 3 years. Wanted to be a part of a launch of a network, but it's such a good job. It's such a good place with good teammates. And I've built my life there now. So kids, family, dog, mom, car, mom, soccer car. I have a vest now. Like, nothing says suburban dad like the vest. Like, a little douchey, but that's, I'm embracing it.
Yeah, and kind of comes with the territory, doesn't it? What kind of car are you driving? What I'm picturing, like an Audi?
No, it's crossover Infinity. Soccer mom wagon.
Got it. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right there with the rest of the soccer moms.
Yeah.
So, Matty, who are you pairing with? Now, I could have sworn I read somewhere that they were trying to get Barry Bonds to join you on Netflix, and that would have been just a personal dream of mine to watch you with Barry Bonds. After I'm thinking of all the players that I've come across in baseball who wanted no part of the media, and for whatever reason, they always seem to end up in broadcasting. You have to put Barry Bonds at the top of that list. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, I think that dialogue is not anything that I'm privy to. In addition to hiring guys in the booth, they've hired a full pregame desk as well. So Albert Pujols is going to be part of that. Anthony Rizzo is going to be a part of that. And I'm not sure how else that's going to shake out. Bert Kreischer, the comedian, who's very funny, he's going to be a part of that, I understand, because I saw a press release that told me that. Like, I'm learning all this along with you guys here. And the Peacock stuff, they've stumbled on this format not too long ago, which was great, that they're going to continue, where they use a play-by-play guy and then an analyst representing each team that's on the field. So some of the broadcast rights holders aren't really willing to share their talent. Some are. In the occasion that there's a wider net that needs to be cast, Peacock has found other people that have identities with the teams that are versed as broadcasters. Al Leiter is going to be with us on opening day for the Mets and Pirates, along with Neil Walker representing the Pittsburgh side. So, I mean, that's a booth I can't wait to participate in. I don't know Neil really well, but I think he's really good on TV. And Al, I go back with quite a ways. So, yeah, it's fun when you mix it up like that. And I think, honestly, 3-man booths, a lot of people cringe over them, to have to produce it. There are a lot of people that don't like to be among a 3-man booth. I really do like it. I think that when it's done right and the play-by-play guy just kind of stays out of the way. It's natural conversation. You don't need to say ground ball to second, throw to first. He got him every play. We see that. It's a visual medium. So the conversation should be happening around the game. Certainly there's moments you want to call traditionally, but not the entire animal. So I like a 3-man booth myself.
Matt, how do you see from the booth standpoint? How do you see now the replay challenges on balls and strikes going? The ABS system.
I think it's going to be fun. I mean, I think the better experience, more so than TV, is going to be in-game, in-house. I mean, the fact that they're going to put these huge kind of tennis-style replays, because that eye-in-the-sky tennis technology has been so good and it's so signed off on. I mean, John McEnroe would not have had nearly the kind of folklorish career that he had if that system was in play in tennis in the 70s and 80s. I think the in-game experience is going to be enhanced, because when the home team, when it's overturned or confirmed by the home team, it's just going to erupt. By that same token, I know that this process is tough for the umpires, because I recall having a conversation with a cross-checker about 3 years ago. We were in Minnesota with the Angels, and this guy said he had just come from a AAA series, a weekend series, where the guy who had the plate on Saturday night in front of a big crowd, giveaway night, was 0 for 9 on the ABS cap touches.
Wow.
He was wrong in every single call. So by the end of the game, the dude wanted to quit. I'm not sure the umpires love it yet. They want to get it right. Like they've embraced instant replay because they ultimately want it right. Nobody wants to be Jim Joyce. Nobody wants to be Don Denkinger and make a call that changes a World Series. So they do want it right. It's going to take a little while, I think, for it to settle in their little fraternity. I think it's going to go great for fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like that's interesting too when you talk about guys like getting 9 wrong or having 9 overturned. Statistically, these guys are pretty good at what they do. They get like 94% of them right, which is a really I think that sounds pretty good for me. Just when we're talking about a millimeter potentially inside and out, and like maybe those are the only 9 that he got wrong, but it's not going to be portrayed that way, right? It's not going to be framed up that way. It's going to be like, yeah, this guy, 9 overturns in a game. Like, he stinks. Get him out of here. What's he doing in the sport?
Right. I'm remiss for not remembering the umpire's name. This is terrible, but remember the division series this past fall between Seattle and Detroit, the game that went, endlessly into the night. The guy that had the plate, he called this massive volume of pitches. He was back there the whole night. I think that game went 17 or 18 innings. And he had like a 98+% accuracy score. Imagine how good that is. That's just one guy getting it almost completely right for about 5.5 hours. Insane.
Yeah. And then, of course, like when you're seeing 400 pitches in a game. So do you have to wear one of those Peaky hats, like Peaky Blinders hats on your broadcast so you can cross promote the Peaky Blinders movie coming to Netflix?
Peaky Blinders. Yeah, I'm loosely familiar with that. I think I need to get versed in a lot of the Netflix original production here, because I think that's going to be a priority for us on opening day.
Yeah, just wear one of those, paperboy hats. I think they're also referred to. As an Armenian, you should know this stuff.
I could do that. I could
get one of those little cross promote for Peaky Blinders. I think you're going to be in the right spot.
I will wear a funny hat for a laugh. Absolutely. Learn that from Mark Grant.
There you go. Well, he's made a career out of that.
The hat and the shoes. Hey, Matty V, before we let you go, and we thank you so much for joining us. I know you've been wiped out all that work with how fantastic the WBC has been, but it was meaningful for Darren and I to have you on today because Darren and I are going to officially announce that we are putting together our 2 little media companies together. I'm MartyTimeTV. He is Section 1904. A lot of phenomenal stuff with Darren Smith, with soccer and everything else, his culture and lifestyle. But we are launching, we're combining our shows here on this channel, on the podcast. You can like and subscribe to Section 1904 right there by scanning that little QR code right there, Matty V. But listen, you were on hold. There you go. You were on hold with us for the Mighty 1090 when they literally pulled the plug in our broadcast. And both of our worlds have really completely changed since then. But you were the guy on hold. You were going to be you were apparently our last scheduled guest for the Mighty 1090. Those days of glory radio are behind us, but we are moving on to other ventures. And so we wanted you to be our first guest.
That's cool. I did not realize that I was on hold when they actually yanked the cord out of the wall and said, "You're gone."
The power went out.
Pack up Coach John Quintero, pack up John Fricky, pack up Costa, whoever else was around in those days.
Kaplan, BR Smith, take a
Kaplan and BR, sure, grabbing people's cell phones, taking inappropriate pictures. Yeah, all of it. Those were good times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I remember that. Like Marty walks back in the studio. She's all right. Matty V's on hold. He's ready to go. And then 2 seconds later, our program director kicked open the door. He's like, "We're done. They just told us." They're like, "What the fuck happened here? Like, we're just getting set to come back on the air." Like,
what a business we're in. Oh God.
I know.
No wonder we're all neurotic. Honestly, no wonder we all have like all kinds of issues. Gee whiz.
Well, it wouldn't have felt right if you weren't part of it, Matt. Appreciate your time. Thanks as always.
Thanks, guys. Great seeing both of you.
All right. Good seeing you.
See you, Maddie. Good stuff.
There
Matt
you go.
Vasgersian. Yeah.
Matt V.
Matty V. Love him.
From Miami. I did not realize he was in Miami when you said that he was joining us today. Did not realize he was part of the WBC.
Oh yeah, he had the games. He had the games on what day is it today? Today's Monday, Darren. I think he had Friday and Saturday when I was listening. So yeah, Matty V.
Oh, good for him. Yeah, these games. I mean, listen, I didn't spend a ton of time on the game last night. I got called in to do some stuff with NBC with Darnay Tripp and our former colleague John Schaefer. You got a nice shout out on the show last night.
Is that right?
You did.
That's very nice.
Darnay Tripp plugged the Friar Territory podcast.
That's great.
And talked a little bit. We talked a little. You know, I was there to talk about SDFC primarily, but we did some baseball. And then Schaefer was in there to talk about the postmortem on San Diego State's basketball season, which ends without any postseason play. You know, obviously they didn't make the NCAA tournament, and then, you know, the injuries to some of the other guys prevent them. I think that was legit. Like, they do have reasons to not participate in the NIT due to injury, due to Viejas Arena being used for the NCAA tournament. But I think they probably also were like, we don't really want to go participate in a tournament that isn't the NCAA tournament with this group. So I think it was multiple factors for San Diego State. But yeah, it's fun. Got to put on a little bit of makeup and put on a sport coat and go sit there in the NBC studios next to Derek Togerson and Todd Strain last night. So I didn't catch a lot of the WBC. Shockingly, Marty, this is not available on radio anywhere, which irritates me, especially in a great baseball city.
I did not realize that. It absolutely should be.
I don't know if there is a radio broadcast, but you know, I'm able to at least pop up YouTube TV through my Bluetooth speakers on the drive from Imperial Beach up to Arrow Drive. I mean, it was okay. It was an okay game. I mean, I saw today Ken Rosenthal said it was one of the best baseball games ever. I was like, was it? I don't know.
It was a frustrating game. I mean, there were some great defensive plays. There was some, home run robbery. And when it comes down to that final pitch, which will be disputed forever, and I'm sure bring ABS now to all playoff games in the future. But it was frustrating if you're Tatis or if you're Machado, you had chances. They had plenty of chances, some base running mistakes, which I'm sure Fernando will talk about later on. But it was a good game. Unlike Craig Stammen, I was rooting wholeheartedly for Tatis versus Mason Miller, but we did not.
I think Matt brings up a point though that I hadn't really considered in real time, which is the whole Ohtani Trout thing probably became pretty irritating for Mike Trout.
Yep.
Like that probably did get to the point. He's like, yeah, okay, I get it. I know I was there. I was in the batter's box. I know it happened. And I hadn't really thought about that because I was selfishly watching, I think, like a lot of other people, thinking this would be a cool thing. It's going to be a cool thing to see. But we didn't get to it with Perdomo getting punched out on that final terrible call from the umpire. But what are you going to do? Now these guys have to come back to Peoria, Marty. So I'm sure they're super excited about that, that they'll just come back to Peoria, Arizona, where it's going to be 150 degrees over the next couple of days with the Southwest heat wave that we're having.
Slightly
I'm sure
different
those guys are
cuisine.
super stoked about that, to play in front of 2,000 people again.
I know, and I know Craig. Hey, maybe Darren. Maybe the Padres are getting back their leadoff hitter, or maybe they're not. Or maybe they're getting their cleanup hitter. I'm not sure what they're getting in Tatis. I think Stammen said today that they're on their way back. He's not quite sure exactly when they're going to play. The Padres do have an off day on Wednesday, so I think he's thinking that they will play after that. So you would get them. Fernando, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they break camp on Monday after a game against Seattle, then back to San Diego, back to Petco Park. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, to your point, after you're playing just these frenzied, energetic games, you get a couple more in Peoria. I'll be
I
fine.
mean, for everybody. I mean, this also applies to all these guys that have to go back to their teams, whether that was Team USA. I saw Aaron Judge say that he feels like the WBC is bigger.
I know.
I don't get satellite radio. See, Neil, thank you very much. The
same
radio
here.
call for the WBC was on MLB Channel Series. I mean, they should make that available for terrestrial radio.
Mhm.
I don't know. Just one, wouldn't be a day if I didn't complain about something.
Well, it should be easy. You want to,
Right.
as a consumer, it should be easy to find this stuff, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, but then again, we're talking to Matt about being on Netflix, and you and I are sitting here talking about a collaboration on YouTube and Substack. So, let's not be hypocrites because it's not available on terrestrial radio. Anyhow, but I saw Aaron Judge say something that I think a lot of people criticized other players on other teams for, which Aaron Judge, who plays for the New York Yankees, where the standard is only about getting to the World Series and winning the World Series,
right?
Said that he felt like this was bigger than the World Series, that the WBC was. Now he says that right in the afterglow of what it was that happened last night against the Dominican Republic. So who knows if he's going to sing a different tune when he gets to Tampa, or in the summer when he's back with the Bombers. But I mean, I just think that's interesting that he says that, because I think a lot of people have been critical of some of the stuff of, just the approach from some of the players, whether it has been Tatis or Manny Machado, like, hey, how come we don't see that sort of, why is it more important for them to represent the Dominican Republic than the Padres? And I don't have any issue with that at all. Like none, I just really, really do not. But now Judge has said that. So I mean, we'll see what sort of reaction Aaron Judge gets for saying something that's been said by a lot of other players representing a lot of other teams, national teams as well.
I would get it if it's Paul Skeens and you play for the Pirates and there's no real expectation that this is a team that's expected to make the playoffs every single year. That's the most meaningful game he may play in for 10 years until, I don't know, until he signs with the Dodgers or whatever else on deferred contract. But when it's Aaron Judge and you play in that particular market, right? And wherever you go, man, you there's a following. It was a little bit surprising. By the way, I was watching.
I mean, by the way, like people need to understand too, I don't doubt for a single second that Tatis and Manny Machado don't love living in San Diego and don't really, really want to win for the Padres. But we also have to remember being a professional baseball player is a transaction, it is a job. They are super passionate about this, but it is they kind of, Tatis came here, he got traded here, and Manny signed because it was the place that offered him the most money. Whereas these guys have felt the pride of being Dominican for their entire lives. So I don't have any zero issue. I'm always surprised when people take any issue with people who are representative or proud to play in international competition. But maybe that's the soccer fan in me, Marty. I don't know.
It might be the soccer fan in you. By the way, I do want to get into what you have going on and your weekend, but here is from, let's see, from Posted Up Down Low. This is a great question, ma'am, sir. What's the name of the new collaboration? Well, we went with the Darren Smith Show for years and years and years because we did not come up with a different sort of name, but for right now, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I show you guys the QR code again. I would love it if you could subscribe to what Darren has going on the Section 1904 pod, because it's not just the podcast. People don't want just to watch videos, right? They want it on demand. They want to hear it as well. So you can do that. Let me get that QR code up there. Plus, Darren has has articles and links and pictures. And we're going to have that site is going to grow. So let me go ahead and show this again. Here's the QR code that Matt Vasgersian snapped into his phone. You guys can go ahead and do that same thing. We would love it if you could support that. I should also mention that Darren and I are also collaborating on Friar Territory. We have 3 shows a week. It's specifically about the San Diego Padres. So make sure you grab that one as well.
Yeah, I got a nice plug last night from Darnay, so I do appreciate that.
Great.
I'm going to have to go clean up that Substack page. I was using it just sort of as a host to get the podcast going, and now I got to go clean it up now that there's expectations there. But here's the deal. I think after years of it becomes a little bit of how do you find Marty Time TV? How do you find these podcasts? Do you want to rely on social media forever? Probably not. So, I know that my inbox is a mess. I get things that get delivered into my inbox all the time that I didn't ask for, didn't subscribe to. But I do think it's best for us to deliver things personally, if you would allow us to do so. Now, if you just want to pick up an RSS feed or subscribe to Marty Time Television, that's great too.
Yep.
That is great. That does help with the algorithms that we are facing. But trying to just use Twitter and Blue Sky and Threads and everything else and Instagram is a little bit of a challenge in 2026 based on the way some of these companies set their algorithms. So I think being able to just send things directly to you, whether it's Marty and I doing something on video or a separate podcast, she'll do stuff on her own. I'll do stuff on my own, all that sort of thing. I think it's just easiest for us to probably, send things directly to you. So that's kind of the thinking there, at least if you want to go over to the Substack page. Then when we do videos like this, you can have it in your inbox, and hopefully you don't send it to junk. But yeah, we'll take that chance because I think it's just a more efficient way of doing things now, especially with how crowded the social media space has been and how unreliable it is. Honestly, these companies all suck. So, you sort of have to dance with the devil in that situation. By the way, no comments on the shirt here today.
I can't see the shirt from here. Where's that here?
Come on, that's my Rick Pitino shirt.
Oh, hey, by the way, so when you mentioned you were on with Darnay on NBC, were you there to talk about? I was thinking, SDFC Toluca. Were you there to go ahead and talk about your Johnnies after all these years? Here they are.
Oh, I demanded it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got them talking about. I actually somehow got them to talk about St. John's and the Knicks last night, which was amazing. Yeah, I don't even know how that happened. Nobody gives a shit about that. But I was there like, yeah, let's talk about St. John's coming to Viejas Arena as a 5 seed, Marty. They're going to be playing at Viejas. Now, Arizona's playing in the morning on Friday. St. John's is in the afternoon. Those that have listened to the show for years know that my wife went to Arizona and I went to St. John's. So we have our alma maters both in the same building on the same day coming up on Friday, which
incredible.
What are the odds of that?
All day tailgate, right?
She has a meeting at 11 that I'm trying to get her. We're playing hooky on Friday. Yeah.
Good.
And this might be a rare week, Marty. Well, I might have 3 or 4 different sporting events to go to. You mentioned Toluca. I'll be in Toluca going to the game. The CONCACAF Champions Cup on Wednesday night.
Okay.
We'll convert Matty V into a soccer fan at some point.
Yes. Get him some gear.
And then I'm back Thursday, and then Friday will be
incredible
in some capacity out of Viejas Arena. If anybody has tickets, by the way, please hit me up. Those things on SeatGeek are through the roof. And then Sunday, SDFC against Real Salt Lake. And then Sunday, I think Arizona's going to advance. Hopefully St. John's can get through Northern Iowa and they can get to the second round where they would face Kansas. So depending on the time there, Marty, I might be looking at 3 or 4 different sporting events in 1 week. Like this is you. Like I'm turning into you on this.
That's awesome. And then you have opening day after that. That's some good stuff. Are you gonna go?
A week away. Yeah, a week from
a week
Thursday,
away.
right?
Yeah, they break camp in 1 week. 1 week. And then opening day is on Thursday against, by the way, your buddy, AJ Hinch.
That's right.
And Scooble, most likely.
And Scooble, yeah. And Framber as well, right? 1 and 2. Pretty good out of the gate. We'll spend more time on that, I'm sure, with Friar Territory. This is going to be one of the challenges that we have with this collaboration is also our Friar Territory obligation where it's like, well, we'll do a lot of the baseball talk over there. Did you read the Jennifer Van Grove story in the Union Tribune this weekend?
I did read that about how the ownership stuff is also tied into the lease at Petco Park and theoretically.
Did you want to apologize to Barry Bloom for all the?
No, okay. No, I don't want to apologize, and I haven't made a phone call yet, and I know where it says they could get out at 2031, and I saw that comment from Craig Hugner, the Padres PR person, saying that standing by the comment made by John Seiler about you'd be crazy to go ahead and leave San Diego. But I mean, no. I mean, that's great. You're right. If you're Todd Gloria, if you're any city council person in San Diego, you'll never take for granted what you have. You should never assume that something will last forever. But right now it appears to be a good partnership for both parties with a lot less.
Certainly the way the story was written, it certainly seemed like it was a much better deal financially for the Padres. Now, I think you can also argue that there's, ancillary economic benefit to having the Padres in San Diego and what's represented to downtown.
Yes.
Probably doesn't get added into the calculus of the conversation about lease terms and all that sort of stuff. But again, I thought it was just an interesting, because people immediately want to dump on Barry Bloom, people for whatever reason, and people have reasons. But now you have a very credible local reporter who didn't write it as dramatically as Barry Bloom did for Forbes, but who does have credibility in this market. Jen Van Grove, if you don't know, is a very good reporter. And she's dialed in on local politics. And she had the tidbit that there's a city council member and the mayor already talking about the terms of the Padres lease and how it might relate to new ownership. So just something I think all Padre fans should read, because, at some point, I think if you live in the city of San Diego, you probably should be informed on this subject, because there's a lot of interesting detail in there, Marty, that I never knew.
there's a lot there. So I know both AC and Dennis Lind wrote about the Final Four for the Padres, taking a tour of the Sports Peoria Complex. Gosh, was it last Friday? I think they were. Anyways, they were around last week. So I'd imagine that when they do have their press conference, when this is official, when they finally do meet with the San Diego media, that's going to be a very important storyline that they will be asked about at the introductory press conference.
Yeah, I would say so. And, and I don't know that they're not going to say, just what everybody wants them to say anyway. No owner's going to come in here and be like, I don't know,
Hey,
we'll see. I'll have to look at it. But, there's also not much you can do, if you're John Seidler. Now, the one interesting thing, if we ever get the chance to chat with Jen Van Grove, that I would like to ask her, there are these options that you can extend the lease. The Padres can extend the lease.
5 years?
There's 2 5-year options. I wonder, is anything preventing John Seidler from doing that? I don't know. Be a nice gift on the way out. At least buy us a little bit of time. And then, what are we at? 40? That's a little bit of a bummer over the weekend with SDFC and FC Dallas. Dropped a couple points away, but Toluca win on Wednesday night or advance somehow with a draw on Wednesday night. I think everybody will forget about the FC Dallas game pretty quickly, even if it was just a draw where you rested 4, maybe 5 starters. So they look tired. They just look very, very tired at the end.
Was that the reason?
I thought so.
Why? I mean, why they rested the starters?
Yeah.
Just give 'em a break.
And 3 games in 8 days and having a, play against Toluca, a man down and then 2 men down by the end of the match. You could see like physically and mentally, those dudes looked really gassed at the end of that one. So I don't know that we'll ever see another game where Anders Dreyer, Jeppe Dverskov, Chris McVeigh are all starting the game on the bench. I don't know that we'll ever see anything like that again. If we do, who knows what the circumstances would be, but yeah, I think they're pushing all in on Wednesday. So, and I'm going.
Of course you are.
Of course.
When do you leave?
Wednesday morning.
Good stuff.
Out of Tijuana, of course, so I don't have to deal with the TSA nonsense happening in the U.S. right now. Hopefully.
We get a refund?
On TSA pre-check?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you do not.
Hey, by the
Although
way,
I guess this now could be a good advertisement for Clear, since Clear apparently is
that's
the
back
way to
up.
just Clear never gets impacted by this, so you can just rifle your way through security at the airport if you have Clear, if you live in a place where the airport has Clear. But
By the way, is my Wi-Fi any better? Because I upgraded my Wi-Fi over the weekend from 400 megabytes per second to a G. So it better be better. It is
tax
better.
write-off. It is better. We haven't. There's been no freezing. Everything has moved smoothly. So I feel like we should end on a high note.
Okay, I like it. So you didn't watch the Oscars?
I did not.
I did. I just watched the opening monologue. I like Conan. He's funny.
I haven't seen any. I don't think I've seen any of the movies. So
I never have. That doesn't stop me.
yeah, we got to get Matt up to speed on Peaky Blinders, by the way, which is on Netflix this Friday, I think. But I will be reveling, of course, in NCAA tournament glory, I hope.
Of course you will.
From whatever it is
Right.
that happens at Viejas Arena on Friday night. So
Okay. So reminder, guys, you can subscribe to the Section 1904 podcast. The QR code is right there. We'll send some more links out. Don't forget, you can subscribe. Darren, how do people subscribe, though, for the newsletter?
you can just find it.
You can just find it. Put it
Go to
in
that
Google.
site. It'll tell you can subscribe.
find
There's
it.
a subscribe link right there.
All right, cool.
So
Cool,
you did
cool,
it well.
cool.
You got it right. All right, cool. That's it. We'll be on Friar Territory, I think, a little later on today.
Yes.
Don't know exactly. We got to sort of regroup and figure out what it is that we're going to chat about there.
No,
We will do
we'll
this
have
again, I think, before I leave
Yeah.
Toluca. I think we will do a preview, like a longer, proper preview of the SDFC Toluca match from 8,800 feet of elevation just outside of Mexico City. So we will talk about that before I hit the road. And then I'll check in, I think, from Mexico City, where I'll be staying. I got a nice reservation at a restaurant that I saw on a show called Knife Edge on Apple TV, which is a show about Michelin star ratings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was able to land a nice reservation that I'll review somewhere on some platform here or
Good.
there or both. So,
Pictures.
all right. We'll
Pictures.
make this available via podcast a little later on. And I guess we'll call it at that.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 1904 podcast. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Thank you again, Hamul, for being a wonderful sponsor to this show on both our platforms. We love you guys. Peace out. We will talk to you soon.
I'm not gonna lie, I already had a hotel booked somewhere where I can relax and chill, but I'm definitely happy. I already canceled my stay in the hotel, and we're gonna be out there in Atlanta.
When did you book that hotel originally?
Actually, yesterday. So that was a quick cancel, but happily I got to cancel.
Fully refundable?
Hopefully.